Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Miami Heat, they lose a tough one tonight, 112-107. This one stings. It was a really, really tough one to swallow. Duncan Robinson hits a game-tying three, and it is then waved off in the final seconds. They say that he stepped out of bounds. I don't even know anymore, dude. I really don't. I was sitting here and I'm like, maybe he did. I'm not quite sure that he did. It was rough. 17 seconds left. Heat, they try and inbound it. They can't. They call timeout again. They get it to Duncan Robinson. Max Strus around him. He steps out. Max Strus around 2 Heat turnovers at the end. Forces a Bam Adebayo loose ball, kind of slips out his hand. I don't know if he got the deflection or not. A little bit of an odd game for me to watch. I was on the radio broadcast tonight, so that was way ahead on the TV broadcast. I was trying to hold my tweets back as I was ahead of everybody. That was the cool thing about getting the live feed tonight. But, for this one, it's going to be a bitter pill to swallow just because story of the season, right? Like, it's a little different, of course, because the Miami Heat, they came into this game very, very shorthanded. No Tyler Herro tonight. He had a head cold, so he misses his 3rd game of the year. Still no Ware, still no Wiggins, still no Hawkins, still no Jovic. You bring up the Sioux Falls guys. You're going to start a lineup tonight with Kevin Love in it so he can get his ovation. Terry Rozier, Alec Burks, Davion Mitchell was back, and Bam Adebayo. And this was one of those games where I got to give Miami a lot of credit because the game really could have gone the other way. And that second quarter, it was starting to look bleak. Miami was pretty even back and forth throughout the first. Bam had a nice start to this game, especially. But then when they put him to the bench, it was like, all right, this is going to be a bit of a process. But they hung tough. They were only down 4 going into the second quarter. And then, it really felt like it was going off the rails there for a bit. Evan Mobley had a block on Bam that led to an Okoro bucket. The Cavs just started nailing threes. Jarrett Allen was dunking. DeAndre Hunter was getting buckets. And Okoro got a putback that put him up 60-43. And you're starting to be like, oh, man. Miami's woozy at this point. They got to punch back. And then, one of the things that was a weird catalyst for this game, they get a bucket and foul by Mobley on Bam, right? And the strange thing was he really stunk at the free throw line tonight. And so, he was started 2 for 7. I don't know what he finished. What did he finish tonight, Evan Mobley? He finished 2 for 7, so he didn't get to the free throw line in the second half, which also speaks to the job they did on him. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. But after that, it kind of was like and then Bam hits a jumper over Jarrett Allen. Then he gets pushed by Jarrett Allen and gets to the free throw line. Then Davion Mitchell gets a nice find to Kyle Anderson. Davion Mitchell then gets a beautiful steal on Evan Mobley. In spite of fouls him, he goes to the Heat to the free throw line, makes them both. Bam Adebayo then hits this beautiful runner running hard to the rim. The Heat are on a 10-0 run, and then Terry Rozier hits a step-back 3 over Max Strus, makes it 62-59, and Miami goes on a 13-0 run. Donovan Mitchell would hit 1 free throw, but Miami was only down 4 after being down by a whole hell of a lot in this game, and you're like, all right, there's a little something here. Bam at the half had 16 points. Terry, he was, okay. Wasn't awful. 10 points. He was 3 of 6. But, Terry Rozier. I don't want to get on here and pick on him every single game that the things go bad because, he obviously wouldn't play as much tonight if it wasn't like the Heat were down to nobody. But I understand the frustration. We'll get to his second half because it was bad. Oh, man, it was bad. Third quarter comes around, and Kevin Love gets in on the action. Kevin Love was making his return to Cleveland tonight. He gets to the crowd. He gives the ring finger. Good for him. Goosey's galore for Kevin Love, even though I kind of hated sneakily. I'm like the lone person, and Heat fans are the lone people who hate that Cleveland Cavaliers championship because we were all Team Petty, and nobody wanted to see them win. I was the biggest Warriors fan that there was because I'm just like, whatever, just no Cleveland. But it's tough not to feel good for Kevin Love. He's a very likable gentleman, and he actually played pretty well tonight. He didn't look like a guy who was over the hill. So he gave a 3-ball and a bucket, gave the Heat a nice little burst there. He was giving the rebounds as he typically does. And then Miami, they turn a little defense into offense. Bam Adebayo blocks Spida with a little pressure from Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell then comes back, hits the 3-ball, which I believe was the first tie. That was the first tie since 31? Yeah, 31 apiece when Duncan Robinson hit a 3-ball. First time that they were tied. And then Kevin Love would get to the free throw line, put Miami up. I think the first time they were up since 12-10 in that game. So they were fighting, man. They were playing great. And it was really, really inspiring to see how Miami was doing this. And for Kevin Love to get fouled by Max Strus, what can I say about Max Strus? He's just not the same guy anymore. And I don't mean that he's not an excellent basketball player, and I don't mean that he's not a delightful story, but there's just something about Max Strus with that long flowing hair that just is disgusting. Like, it's like, look at him. He's so pretty, and now he's got this hair. So he's rich, incredible hair. He's got the Bachelorette fawning over him. And I'm just like, dude, I used to love Max Strus, but I look at him with that coiffed hair like a strutting peacock, and I'm really genuinely, in my feeling and my soul, I think to myself, fuck Max Strus, dude. I don't like that guy with his hair. I really don't. I don't like it, and also, I don't like it. Anyway, I'm lashing out. Kevin Love gives the Heat the lead. The Heat then get some big-time buckets from Bam Adebayo. And this is really where Bam starts going off with some just icy jumpers on Evan Mobley. And Evan Mobley, who, is the Defensive Player of the Year odds-on favorite right now with no Victor Wembanyama. And Bam's not in any of those races. And I don't really expect him to be, even though Davion Mitchell, I saw he told Ethan and the boys at 5 Reasons today that Bam's the best defender in the world, and listed a bunch of reasons. You guys can go check out the interview. But there's also something about Bam when he takes on these so-called best defenders in the world, and he loves to feed them everything on offense. Like, he likes to unload the entire bag on them, and he was just hitting jumper after jumper over Evan Mobley, and then he was just blowing right by him, and I was just like, look at him. He really was so uplifting to watch him play, and to think about what the year he had, where we're like, who is this guy? Why is he missing these easy shots that he always made? He said today, he's like, nothing changed, which I find hard to believe. I'm sure I'll talk to Leroy about this, and he'll be like, you're not a professional athlete, you're a dope. But I find something hard to believe that there's nothing changed. You went from looking like, people are calling you new Bismack Biyombo to back to looking like a silky smooth jumper like Chris Bosh in the matter of a month. He's been incredible this last 6 weeks. He's been amazing, and I love it. I love seeing everything that he's bringing to the table. Miami would go into the half. They would be down 4 to Cleveland, and they were even that quarter, so nothing changed. Bam, he would go into that fourth quarter with 22 points, 8 of 14 from the field, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. And Duncan Robinson comes out hot. He gets a bucket. He gets a 3. He gets a find to Kyle Anderson. He get out to a nice start. They get the lead back. Spida would answer with a 3-ball. Then we're getting a little helter-skelter with some 24-second violations. Haywood Highsmith would get to the line to give Miami the lead back after the Spida 3. Bam would get his 223rd double-double. And then he did a classic D-Wade pump fake to get Dean Wade in the air. I mean, D-Wade would be so proud of what Bam Adebayo did to Dean Wade, because he just is like, whoop, whoop, and like just catches a sucker, Dean Wade, just in the air. And Miami was starting to get on a little run ski. They were on a nice run after Cleveland got back out in front. They were in a nice run, and they'd find themselves up 93-89 after this. Cavs then would get a turnover. You had a nice cut to the rim from Haywood Highsmith that put Miami up 95-89, which would be their biggest lead of the game, 7 points. Donovan Mitchell answers back with a bucket, and then Bam hits a big three to put Miami up 98-81. And DeAndre Hunter would make it a 5-point game. Then Bam, he would catch Evan. He would get an offensive rebound. Then he'd catch Evan Mobley in the air on a pump fake, and he'd get to the free throw line. Gets himself up to 29 points. Heat, they're going strong. Mobley got a bucket from Strus. Then Strus scores for Cleveland. Miami calls a timeout. Bam comes out of the timeout, hits a huge three. Unfortunately, that asshole Max Strus with that pretty-ass hair of his, he also hit a three to keep Cleveland in striking distance. And then Spida would then give Cleveland back the lead. Haywood Highsmith would get it back on a little floater, but that would be the last bucket Miami scores in the last 4 minutes plus. And the moment everybody's going to talk about in this one is there's a couple things with these last 4 minutes that hurt. Duncan would miss a free throw. Then Cleveland would start turning the ball over a lot, so Miami would get chances. Evan Mobley couldn't handle a pass. And then Terry Rozier comes down. He misses a three. Kyle Anderson gets the rebound, gets back to Terry Rozier. He airballs it. Terry Rozier was, respectfully, so fucking bad in the second half of this game. And I don't know if it's cool to joke about point shaving, because it seems like a pretty serious accusation. However, if I was accused of point shaving, I would never want a game I would rather be injured than a game like this be on tape. You guys probably know this Twitter account, Brick Center. It's basically like a blooper reel if you have a terrible game. And they put together Terry Rozier's second half. National TV game, mind you. This is on ESPN. And some of the turnovers that Terry Rozier had today are inexplicable. And I don't really know what to do. I don't. It feels like he said after the last game, after the Wizards game, he said that the Heat are going to go on a run and I'm going to be a reason for it. And this man felt like he shot any chance they had into the sun today. He really did. He was so bad after he hit that that three over Strus at halftime. His final numbers. This is from Heat Muse. 2 points, 0 for 8, 0 for 5 from 3, 3 turnovers. What the fuck is that? Like, what is that? And he played today. I believe he played more than anybody. I believe he led the Heat in minutes. He led the Heat in minutes today. He played 40 minutes for the Miami Heat today and didn't score a basket in the second half. Yikes. And I get it. I get everybody who's like, hey, Davion Mitchell, why didn't he play? I don't know. I really don't know. My only thought is Spo's thinking to himself, he had a little run there. He had that shot at the end of the third quarter, and he's thinking to himself, my only thought could be Erik Spoelstra thinking to himself, he gets one, he'll get a bunch. That's the only thing I can think of. And unfortunately, he not only missed one, but then he missed one way worse with the game on the line. I don't know. You guys are sitting here and asking, why don't people ask about it? He's been asked. Spo's not going to throw his player under the bus. And I think for people who have questions about the media, right? First of all, it's been asked why about Terry's role. Then Terry didn't have a role. Now you know why he's playing because they have no players. Why did he go with him 40 minutes tonight over Josh Christopher? Like I said, I think my guess for Spo is Davion Mitchell is not a respected offensive player, although he was very good at sharing the basketball today, but he's not an offensive threat to shoot the ball. And that Spo's thinking to himself, if Terry gets one, the floodgates can open. Is it the right decision? No, it's a crazy decision. It's a crazy decision. And Spo keeps saying after these games, he's like, a breakthrough is going to happen. Not just for Terry, but for the team. And I'm like, when? When? Because I sat here the last 4 minutes. I saw Bam. What did he get? One shot in the last 4 minutes. He did have a turnover, but he got the ball twice in the last 4 minutes. Twice? With the game that he had? Am I missing something? I might be wrong. I know he missed a shot, and I know he had that possession where Strus was in front of him and he turned over the basketball. But, how there was a position where, Haywood Highsmith missed a three. Davion Mitchell gave it to him, and I'm like, you should have given it to Bam. But I don't understand that, and I don't understand. I don't know. And the game ends with that because after that, DeAndre Hunter gets a bucket. They go up 110-107. And then there was a bunch of turnovers. DeAndre Hunter had a turnover. The Strus turnover I told you about. Then Spida had a forced turnover by Kyle Anderson, who had a sneaky good game. He's been pretty good for the Miami Heat, Kyle Anderson. I know we all made fun of him being here, but you can't really complain about Kyle Anderson. He's done a pretty damn good job. I don't think there's a legitimate complaint about him other than he's kind of boring to watch because he's slow-mo, but he's been objectively pretty excellent at all the intangible stuff, and somehow Kyle Anderson always ends up with a stat that's in double digits that I'm flabbergasted by. How did he get to the free throw line 13 times? Not tonight, but other games. Today it's 11 rebounds. I'm how did he get 11 rebounds? How did he do that? He can't jump. But what are you gonna do? So he forces that. He get the chance to inbounds it. They have to call timeout. So they don't have a timeout to challenge, which actually turned out to be pretty big. Duncan Robinson hits a three ball, but it's waved off. Jax on the call is I'm going nuts because I'm only listening to Jax. And Jax is it's good. I'm oh. And I'm sans pants. But then he's no, they took it away. And I'm what? And then I have to wait 90 seconds for it to be on television. And I'm he was out? Are you sure? And Max Strus, he did some kind of witchcraft with his hair. I don't know what he did, but I know he did something. I don't know what Max Strus did, but I know he did something. There was some karmatic energy that ruined that play. We got Strused somehow, and I won't forgive it. He'd end up losing. Final score 112-107. A valiant effort, yes. A moral victory, no. I'm glad Bam had that performance on national television. I know Kendrick Perkins was calling him out a little bit, so I'm glad that Bam got to showcase his skills. I am not glad that Terry Rozier got to showcase his skills. And, Spokey's pushing this whole positive narrative. I don't want to beat it up tonight. I'm too exhausted from the game, but this Heat team does feel like they are a good win against a good team breakthrough because there does seem to be some mental block there. And I don't know if it's sneaky tank. Some say it's a sneaky tank. Some are saying that. I don't know. Some are saying that. Is it the sneaky tank? I don't know. Cleveland's only lost 10 times. So they basically did the same thing in Chicago yesterday. But to me, I don't know what that win would be. Like this next homestand, you got Minnesota, Chicago, Charlotte. Is it the Clippers? I think it's the Clippers and then the Celtics. And I would really like to see if Miami can work their way towards, beating one of the top teams. They were very close with OKC, kind of fell apart. They were close against Cleveland, they fell apart. Now you're at a spot where, like, all right, the next real feather in the cap would be like getting to Friday the 14th and seeing if you could beat Boston. But for right now, it's got to start with beating Minnesota. But they keep talking about, like, is it logistics? Is it logical? I'm running out of words to say, dude. Been talking too much on the radio today. Is it logical to say that Miami could, like, go through a run here on the homestand? You just haven't seen it. They're playing better. Like, I agree with that. I agree with Spo saying they're playing better. I agree they're playing better. But it's tough not to look back at, like, the Knicks and the Cavs. You're just like, man. And Milwaukee. You're just like, man. Can't break through, dude. You just can't. OKC can't break through. It's frustrating, man. This has been enough to test any fan this season. It really has been. It's been enough to test any fan. I'm not got the bottle tonight because, like, I can't drink when I'm doing the radio work because got to be a professional. If I was for you carnival barkers and all you degenerates who tune into my show, I'd be hitting probably some bum juice tonight because I ran out of my liquor. I'm going to the liquor store tomorrow. That's my mission to restock for the weekend. So, anyway, Bam deserved better. I'm glad that he got Kendrick Perkins to shut up. He was awesome. He's been awesome. Season high tonight, 34 points. His final numbers, 34 points, 12 rebounds, 11 of 18, 3 of 5 from downtown, 9 of 9 from the free throw line. He was sensational. He really was. He was sensational tonight. And in a night where you had no Tyler, you needed it. It's unfortunate that it came down to that. Because he was bar none the best player on the floor tonight. Cleveland's got a lot of great players. Mitchell and Mobley are incredible. Garland, stud, Jared Allen, Moose. And then, of course, they got they're a stacked team. They're the best team in the league for a reason. But the best one on the floor tonight was Bam Adebayo, and he deserved to win, and they didn't get the win. So, you couldn't say that against the Knicks game. The Knicks game, like, no. Jalen Brunson was very clearly the best player on the floor. He deserved to win. That didn't happen tonight for the Heat. The Heat, Bam Adebayo was the best player, and couldn't get over the finish line. Unfortunate.